So for the very first time, I'm gonna actually get footage of me cleaning one of these dull, lifeless headlights units. Now, I mean, I had tried to clean it with a little bit of transmission fluid, and that didn't work. And I've done what some people say: you go, put some soap on it, put some soap on it. That doesn't work either. As you can see, that doesn't work. That's just some of this yellow Ajax soap. Soap doesn't just make things clean. You can try off bug spray if you want, but I had a guy try to tell me, hey, I can fix your headlights with some off bug spray. And I'm like, okay, go ahead. He ruined the headlight. I had to resurface it to get it even clear again. It ate something and made it more unseeable than I'd ever seen. Off bug spray, to my knowledge, from my experience, does not work, at least on an '01 Cavalier. This is an '03 Nissan Maxima junkyard build, pulled from a junkyard with a couple of mechanical repairs. It is up and running, and we're going to get this headlight nice and clear, like brand new. Here we go. First, let's note that it's yellow, and it is not clear, it's yellow. Then, it's also not clear. Can you point to the headlight? Because I sure as shit can't. So, wiping it doesn't work, getting it wet doesn't work, soap doesn't work. These things aren't going to work. What's going to work? What I'm going to do here, and I'm going to tell you each step along the way. The first step to resurfacing is you need water. Now, I go a step further, and I do use soap in my water because the soap kind of slows the water down a little bit and helps hold the water in place. That doesn't sound like it's at all true. It may even confuse some people, but I use plenty of soap, and the bubbles and all that it creates helps distort the plastic, which is kind of the point of the water. It washes the plastic away, so you're not pushing plastic into plastic. From there, you need, I'm not really sure if the make and models are different in design, but I have 3M, and this is sanding paper, and it does say polish, but that's because this is just one set. There's different stages, and so how it works is the lower the number, the higher the grit. 80 grit, as you see, is like actual coarse sandpaper or grip tape on a skateboard. And the 80, it being higher grit, means that things like 400 is lower grit. And then you get even lower grit, it's almost smooth. You can see it sparkle, but it's almost smooth. This is 1500 grit. And then you work your way up to 2000 grit. You can work your way up to 5000 grit. Just depends what you have available. I have some 1500, I have some 2000, which is the most I have, the highest grit that I have. And I have 180, 400. So 180 is higher grit than 400. So you do 180, then you do 400. I lay them down where you can see the numbers that are on the back, and then I start with the lowest number and work my way to the highest number. Now, there are numbers higher than 2000, and I highly suggest going higher than 2000. I don't have that, and as this is a junkyard build, the main point was to spend as little money as possible to get a very nice looking car on the road, running and street legal. And because of that, here we go, moving forward without spending any additional money. So, first thing I want to do is wash the headlight. I know I did say add soap, and soap was added. That being said, soap having been added, I'm going to wash it because we should. Just kind of something you should do before starting a thing. So I got some soapy water. I'll wash the area. You want to make sure that there's not sand, dust, dirt, any of that stuff on here. That's why you do it. I probably should have said that to begin with, but yeah, you want to make sure the dirt, grime, and all of that is not present, because you don't want to push anything into the headlight. You don't even want to push the sand or the grit or the plastic into the headlight. You're removing things, not pushing things in. Okay, so now that you've gotten it nice and wet and all of that is done, just take your wet rag, get it nice and wet, lay it over, let the water kind of run down a little bit, let it sit there. It will be helpful. Now I do this because it's a junkyard, fine. Just go ahead and go over it with a little bit of, it's not Scotch-Brite, it's one of those little, well, I think this is Scotch-Brite. Chore boy is the metal thing, right? I don't know. It's like a rough felt. It's a dishwashing thing. Just go like this a little bit. Just kind of make sure you've hit every square inch of it. You're not going to scratch it. Not with that anyway. And here's the part that would make a lot of people scared. You're going to take this 80 grit sandpaper. This 3M 80 grit sandpaper. You're going to wet it. You're going to put the sandpaper right there on the headlight and destroy the headlight. That's right, that's what we're doing right now. We are destroying the headlight. Make sure to keep it wet, keep the headlight wet, because that's the saving grace right now. You want to keep this headlight wet. A lot of people will buy a kit for like $7 or $8 that does a little bit of this. We're going to go above and beyond what that kit can do. And also, if you read those kits, they'll say you want active water just pouring across the headlight. Well, I'm going to show you me not doing that, and then you can argue in the comments just how badly it was needed. Because I'm using soap, and I'm keeping everything wet. I don't feel that I need the water actively pouring for the water bill to be just skyrocketing. Just keep everything wet. Go nice and slow. That's right. Just dragging it across the headlight. It will be hard to hold because it's wet and it's sandpaper and you're holding it from the back. Sandpaper does grip. You will see lines. You will see streaks. So what's the goal here? Well, the goal at 80 is to take off the color. Once you've seen that it looks like it no longer has that color, then you've done a pretty good job getting a pretty good portion of the way. And you can kind of see around the outer edges that the color was way darker yellow. That's where the front and the back of the plastic meet. You're not going to do a lot of good there, and you're going to run the risk of hitting the hood. And even though this is a junkyard build, I don't want to have to repaint it because that's extra money. I'm just going to let that rag sit there and drip water, and I'm going to take this, continue to go, because I want it nice and even. I want these streaks, these little cuts, to be even, absolutely even, all over the place, in the same direction. Now, some people would want you to go in circles for one reason or another, but I'm going nice and even. It won't distort any of the headlight. It won't cause any problems. Why? Because we're going to remove them. We're going to remove the scratches. I'm putting them in, so we're going to remove them. But I have to put scratches in to remove all that yellow. Okay? Let's do this for just a few minutes. Now, while I'm doing this, I do want to talk that the reason I only have like 2 packets and that they say 3M, and I don't have a good show-offy set, is because not only am I not sponsored, but I paid for them myself a few years ago, and it's just lasted this long. Matter of fact, the piece that I'm using right now is from doing the other headlight yesterday off camera. Okay, I'll go all the way up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Okay, now I believe I'm good with the 80 grit. I'm just going to step that to the side, and I'm going to wipe the whole thing down. Just wash it nice and clean. Just like that. You can see that it's fogged over, but that fogged over is the plastic of the streaks. What are we going to do about that? Well, we're going to bring the headlight out from underneath. So, as you saw, we were using 80 grit right here. It's all worn out. You can see it's starting to fall off of itself. Here's another piece of 80 grit. I'm going to use it. Just a couple good streaks to really make sure I've gotten it. Get these corners. Nice, fresh piece. Okay, I don't need that one as much or as long. You can save that and use that on the next headlight if you have another headlight to do. Okay, so I have a worn out piece of 180 here, and I can't tell how much is good because it's less grit. So I'm going to start immediately with the new piece of 180. Okay, now 180 having a finer grit or less grit means that the scratches that you see are going to be more fine, smaller, harder to see, and that's good. But what you're working for with this 180 grit is to replace the big scratches with little scratches. All of the little scratches should be completely replacing the big scratches. You shouldn't see the big scratches anymore. Now you just keep it wet, keep it wet, keep it wet. Okay. I don't want to wet the rag. Make sure the rag is still drooling up there. Give it a little bit of a wash. You can see a little bit of a difference already. Okay. Okay. Let's take my hand over a little bit, just feeling. It feels pretty slippery, but that's the soap. So you want to just kind of feel. Make sure all the grit is nice and smooth now. I'm going to keep going a little bit just because I'm really in love with this car. This is a beautiful car. I want to make these headlights as nice as possible. Will I ever buy new headlights? Yeah, sure, probably. Will I have to buy new headlights? No. If I buy new headlights, it's to change the overall look, not because these need to be replaced. Now again, all of this might have cost me $25 5 or 6 years ago. I am using about $3 worth of sandpaper, maybe. I'm going to step up to the 400, get nice and wet. There we go, keep it wet, keep it wet. that soap on there. Again, you don't want to hit the bumper or the hood. Really don't want to. You can, just don't want to. Try to keep everything as clean as possible. And use that soapy water to keep it wet. That's good for the process. I want to do this as all one long strip of recording here so that people can see that this is not movie magic or any of that crap. This is 400 grit. Okay, just to show you, this is 400 grit. That's supposed to be a 400. Okay, we'll move up to 1500 grit. I'm gonna wipe it a little bit with this cloth. It's just nice and gentle. Okay, go. I'm about out of water, so I want to add some water to continue. I'm washing my hands a little bit. It doesn't hurt to wash it. Take a look at where it is so far. Get the soap off the hood. Wash your hands if you have a weird feeling about the soap. Alright. And I'm going to keep going. Can't turn off the water. Alright, so as we're going to keep going, I said 1500 grit. At 1500 grit, I just about can't tell what's used and what isn't. It's such a fine thing. You can rub your face across it all day and it won't hurt you. I don't think it would hurt you. Don't do it at home. I don't want to hear a lawsuit. Anyway, you just go over it nice and smooth. Nice and smooth. And at this point, you can't see or feel any scratches. But they're still there, so we're just working them out. Because those scratches will distort the light. And it won't look as good because those scratches are bigger. So you will have a hard time seeing through it because of those scratches from the 400. So we're putting on the 1500 to once again remove the scratches from the 400, and we're putting in scratches at 1500. At this point, they're so fine and I get kind of tired, so I start working in a circular motion too. You just want to make sure you don't hit the bumper, you don't hit the hood. I'm not paying for paint jobs. Okay, so there you go. Just like this. And you want to be thorough because at this point you can't see it. So you want to do a good job, so you just keep going. Kind of let it stay wet. I'm going to swap hands real quick. Now if you look really closely, you will be able to see those scratches from the 400. you look really closely. That's how you know you got to keep going. But they will disappear, and when they disappear, you won't know where to stop. So just do the good job that you know that you can do. Okay? If you're seeing scratches from the 80 or the 180, then go back and redo the one above 180, the 400, or the 600, or the 800, or the 1000. All of those are in between 0 and infinity, and you can buy different ones. I only have what I got. I'm working with that. But if you see scratches from a obviously much more aggressive um, sandpaper, then go back and start over at the next, because you want to get rid of all those scratches. And the finer the sandpaper, the finer the scratches that it removes and the finer scratches that it puts in. So it's not going to do you any favors to keep running 2000 grit if you have scratches from 180. Okay, so just do what you need to do to reach the goal that you have of a clean, pretty headlight. It's just like this. You can do more of these. You can do more of these. At this point, what it's putting in there is so tiny you can't see it. It does distort the headlight, so you want to be uniform with whatever you're doing. Make sure to buff it in and buff it out. Okay? Now, for the sake of prosperity, sake that I'm already not doing this with all of the right equipment. I don't have enough sizes in grit. It's a hot day, and I'm trying to do this all in one take for y'all. I'm gonna skip ahead because it's good. I can't see this. It's good. This is another 1500. I'm gonna skip over. This is 2000 from yesterday. I can't tell if it's good because it's so fine. I'm gonna skip over it. Make sure I do good by using a piece that hasn't been used. Get it nice and wet. Apply it. Let's wet this one more time. Okay, here we go. And 2000 grit, everybody. Let's apply the 2000 grit. Keep on trucking. I think you'll find that as you use the sandpaper, you'll see that the soap gets grayed or murky, and that is proof that it is taking off the plastic. You can see it for yourself when you do it. And as long as you're taking off plastic, you know that you are accomplishing something. So if you have to reuse a piece, just keep in mind if you stop seeing murky water, that you might need to change the piece that you're using. You don't particularly have to change your pieces, but it needs to be doing a job. So here we go. Just kind of running over it. Again, this should be all one video, all one footage here. Make sure y'all can see that this is real. You can buy this stuff at the store. Quite often, if you tell them that this is what you're looking to do with it, they'll try to tell you to get every single grit. 20 grit, 40 grit, 60 grit, 80 grit, 1000 grit, 1200 grit, 1500 grit. There's 1200, 1400, 1100, there's all of them. So go ahead and do what you feel that you need to. If I was in a position where I had the money and I was going out to buy it, I would get every grit. That makes this a little easier. I don't have them and I don't have money, so we're gonna keep going. Make sure the 2000 grit really is effective. Okay, and by now you should start seeing that it actually looks really clean, really clear. Okay, so I'm gonna add some water. We're gonna see what we have. Wash my hands a little. Now there's just a couple of issues here. The first one is I don't have all the right grits. Stop, stop, stop. Sorry, my dog. I don't have all the right grits, and this is going to be, you know, I'm not allowed to go purchase extra stuff unless it's necessary. So this is wet. I will show you this dry. As you see, dry is kind of foggy. When you go up to about 3,000, 4,000 grit and then apply a coat of wax, it's clear. I don't have wax. I don't have the wax that I need. If you buy a kit, it'll come with the wax. If you're buying these, tell them you want headlight restoration wax. The wax fills in the holes, it stays wet and keeps it clear. We don't have money for that. I don't have time to go get that. I don't have a buddy to borrow it from. So I'm going to use my go-to. Get the transmission rag. Get the transmission fluid. Okay. Yes, this, oh, I wasted a lot. That was nowhere near needed. Nowhere near needed. That was probably 12 cents worth of transmission fluid. Okay, well, I don't need nowhere near this much, and I don't want it to touch the paint. So I'm going to put it in my hand and be careful. As you may have seen in my videos on my YouTube channel, this keeps the headlight really clear. As clear as it can be. It eats a couple of things that may be on the headlight and will keep it clear for 3-4 months. Dude, don't slobber on my camera. Stop. Stop, buddy. Come over here. Come over. Stop. Wash away that transmission fluid. Don't want him in it. Anyway, that is what it looks like as it's drying now. Everything is all well and good, and if you wipe it, still clean, still shiny, still new. Hope that was helpful, and I'll see you again on Honest Tool Reviews, or actually I believe I might be posting this one to Facebook.